Hi, there you are. Hello.
My colleague Matt is coming too.
Okay, so we can chat a little bit before he comes. So, he's doing a book on the boys.
He and I are doing it together.
Awesome. Whoop
Yeah,
hi.
yeah, yeah. It's been super fun. We just did a presentation at Southwest PCA, and it went really well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm glad, like, after Supernatural, there was this for you, and
I mean,
it's
it's not
such,
the same, but
no, but there's a lot of like carryover of people,
yeah, yeah. And at least it's. I mean, I'm never gonna be like a fangirl about the boys the way I was for Supernatural, but I really do genuinely really enjoy it. So
Yeah, no, it's really I love Garth Ennis. I love his writing. He always has a really interesting take on America, this really sort of sarcastic Irish like look at it. And I think Kripke's, well, Seth Rogen's involved, who did, the adaptation for Preacher, which I thought was
right,
they did really well.
yeah.
I think Kripke and him, like, yeah, there's a lot of things that, the shots in the car, they both do a lot of that. There's a lot of similarities. So I think they're a good working team.
Yeah. No, they all of them seem to have a common kind of way of looking at things and maybe like a common goal too of wanting to like stir up the status quo and do something that, push the envelope a little, which, we need.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Huh. Yeah, and the boys is like really like Supernatural was just really visually beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just beautiful show.
Yeah. I just saw Anthony Stark just posted a thank you to Phil Segresia for giving him a bottle of some kind of liquor. And like I love Phil's directing. I love Phil being like involved as a producer and a director. There's so many people that have come over that I really like their work. So I wish they had Serge. Then it would be even more beautiful. But
Oh, here's Matt Snyder.
oh yeah, that's Matt. Good.
See. There we go. Hi, Matt. I think he's connecting to audio.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are
Hey,
you?
Good. How are you?
Matt,
Good.
Hansi, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So we were just informally discussing the carryover of Supernatural fandom to the boys. And I'm a huge Garth Ennis fan, so I would have come anyway, but it's a nice mix of things. And she mentioned the two of you were working on a book about it.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So what are you doing with the book? Are you doing similar to what Lynn did with Supernatural, or how are you approaching this?
So my take is a little different. I am not a Supernatural fan. I watched most of it, but just casually here and now. So Lynn kind of pulled me in more on the psychological components to it. We do a lot of working together. We wrote a textbook in psychology together. And I was originally a boys fan. Watched it separately from the first season before Lynn said, "Hey, I'm getting very interested in this new show." I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm a big fan. I watch it." And that's how we kind of get started. So I don't know a lot of the parallels between that and Supernatural, but that's kind of what drew me in, the characters and kind of their angst as they go through, and the parallels to what our society's been going through in general, is kind of striking and even prescient.
Oh yeah, there it's like so much. You're like,
Amazing.
oh my god, like
Yeah, like strikingly. Like sometimes Matt and I did a series rewatch to prepare for Southwest PCA, and like constantly we were like, oh my god, how did he know that
yeah,
this was going to be like this
yeah.
is incredibly relevant, crazy.
Wow.
We're probably Hansi, we're probably gonna have I'm not gonna go the route of like having 8 million celebrities write a chapter because I don't know them the way I knew the
Okay.
Supernatural cast. So I mean if we're lucky, maybe we can get some, but that's not going to be.
So will this be like psychological or essays on the psychological aspects of this show done by people in psychology more, or?
Not entirely. I was just going to say, I don't know if you would be interested, but you might be a great person to write about, how this came from the comics and the evolution, and Garth's influence and how this relates to the other show Preacher too. Like, you might be a good one to write about pulling all that together, because Matt and I have never read the comics. Like, we are entirely about this show. So think about it. We definitely are going to need somebody. I would like
That'd be
someone to
fun.
write about that.
Sure, that'd be fun. I'd love to do that. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun book.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit broader too than just the psychology. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
we're looking at like social media, like just like these themes that
Right.
continue to keep coming up, and they're not all psychological.
No.
Some of them are, very kind of mainstream. Even like how you get your needs met. It used to be like you had a family, and if they cared for you, great. You only needed 4 or 5 people in your life. Now it's like I need 1 million people to like me on social media platform before I can feel good about myself. So there's this whole idea of like, how do we navigate the world of today, and how do we get our needs met? Even these superheroes who can do anything and be anything have tremendous anxiety about being liked or getting what they need. And I think there's just some common human themes that go through the show that kind of get lost in all the gore and the spectacle, and which is kind of fun, but I think there's a deeper level there that a lot of people don't probably think about too much, or maybe they do, and it kind of gets them on both levels.
Well, I think right now too, a show about like people who are like sort of caught in these jobs, and they know that, this whole enterprise, is terrible and treats humans awful, and, they need to get out. But then again, this is their life and their family, and, and that's probably true of a lot of people at some point in the last year or so.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah. So when's this, is this book, when are we going to see this book? What's the deal? Yes. Okay, so you're working on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I understand.
I know you do understand, because whenever you finish a huge project, it's just like, okay, I need to take a breath now.
I finally got the DVD to a dub house that could master it. They have to master it on glass, which I didn't know. Because DVD 9s are terrible masters. You'll end up with artifacts, and it was. I had to, so I went to YouTube, like looked up, how do they make a master of glass, and it's like in a clean room and like it's sterile, and it's like so that's now I've okayed the order. Another $2,000 into the film. Now we, have 300 DVDs, with all the extras, and yeah.
Creativity is hard work, man.
Yeah, it's really hard work, and like I can't stop doing it, right?
Me neither. But
even though it makes absolutely no sense to continue to do, like I can just keep doing it,
I like to have some creative project that I'm working on, but I'm taking this one slow, partly because season 3 hasn't even started. Like, I'd like it to come out with season 3. That's probably a year away.
Yeah.
So do I want to start working on it now so that we can line up a publisher? Yes, absolutely. But yeah. I'm not like, we got to go now.
Well, yeah, I think after the last year, we got to go now is just like, it'll get done when it's done, because there's been so many like roadblocks, like the last 2 years trying to get anything done was just like Sisyphus,
Exactly.
So, so why the boys? I mean, was there a specific reason you decided to write about this particular, because God knows there's so many good shows.
Are we, Hansi, are we recording for real now? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that would change my answer, maybe, depending. I don't know.
Yeah, yes. This is all recorded.
Okay. Why The Boys? I mean, honestly, I started watching The Boys because it was Eric Kripke, and
Right.
I love all of Eric Kripke's shows. They're all different, but they're all compelling in some way. So, of course, I was going to give it a try. I honestly didn't expect to be sucked into it the way I was. As soon as I started watching it, I was like, wow, because I was not, as I said, familiar with the comics. I was not familiar with the story at all. Didn't really know what it was going to be about. And what really blew me away was how relevant it was to things that were happening in society right now. I just kept being blown away by how topical it was, all the things that they were tackling, from celebrity to fandom to fake news to power, and how people wield power. I mean, it was all there, just as it was all playing out outside my window. So I became a fan pretty quickly, and I can't think of anything that I'd rather write a book on, because this is the thing that has pulled me in the most. Matt, what about you? What do you think? What pulled you in? Because you were pulled in. We both were pulled in without knowing. We're colleagues, but we didn't know the other person was watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously there was some pinning themes of like mental health and what makes people happy. But I think, so my nephew was like, hey, you got to watch a show. And, I've watched all the, Marvel, and, I enjoy all that kind of stuff. And I just watched it for enjoyment. But then I saw all of the kind of human elements to it, and the parallels between like Butcher and Homelander, where like everybody thinks they're right in the show, right? And Homelander and Butcher are very similar characters on the opposite sides of the show, so to speak. And just the parallels and the idea of like, how do I get my needs met? What's right and wrong, and that everything kind of is relative. And the just the twists and turns that each of the characters go through. It's probably the first show that kind of showed the human side of a superhero or supervillain, or that they could be one and the same, right? The superhero and villain is kind of the same character. So it's a very interesting concept.
I think it was very compelling to two psychologists, because it is such a psychological show. It's
Yeah,
just,
and they're all so fucked up. Like,
Oh.
it's just like,
That's why we love it, right? I'm like, man, this is awesome. They're
Yeah.
all screwed up,
Yeah.
right?
yep.
Come down the line from the Deep to poor Maeve to Starlight to
Homelander, Jesus Christ.
Homelander.
Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a given, right?
holy crap.
And
Yeah.
on the other side too, the boys are
Oh, yeah.
equally screwed up. So
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I like that the characters are allowed to be so fucked up. Like, the
Yeah.
good guys are fucked up, the bad guys are fucked up. Like, everyone is fucked up. There's something very validating about watching a show where everybody is struggling with morality in some way.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Everybody fucks up. It's cool. Who's your favorite character on the show? Each of you, Lynn? Off top of the head, I won't hold you to it.
If I had to pick one, I would probably say Huey. But
Okay.
but I really, I don't. It's not like with Supernatural. Like, I'm not a Huey girl. Like, I was a Teen girl. It's not the same. But
No.
I like how nuanced his character is, and how much he struggles with the moral dilemmas.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I kind of like Butcher, honestly, because I feel like he's this portrayal of the typical American guy, right? That he has to kind of be bravado, and he has to, call everybody girl part names, and he has to, but underlying, he's got really some deep feelings and some deep issues, but he can't show it. And he always has to. And on the flip side, I really like Homelander for that very same reason.
I do too.
I know. I know. You're like, how can you like Homelander? How can you? But again, like, so it's almost the same kind of thing. He's like that typical male, American male, right? But is
The
really effed up.
douchey, creepy, rapey American male.
That
Yeah.
kind of American male, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Butcher better. Like but I think Homelander's interesting.
I
I
love
like
I
him.
love Butcher, but you'd get killed hanging out with him. He's just one of those people, like, you're gonna
Yes.
get killed hanging out with him. That's just what's gonna happen.
But
But,
I don't really like Butcher.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Butcher. It's the only
Butcher-
time I've ever thought
No.
Carl Urban was hot, was playing Butcher. I'm
No.
like, oh, that guy. He's in
Yeah,
tons of
he's a-
shit, But like,
he's a great
he never
actor.
looked hot, except without the beard and the
No.
attitude.
No. No.
But my favorite is actually Frenchie. I love Frenchie.
I do like Frenchie. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great character.
He just wants to get high and fix things and
But he has a lot of wisdom too. Like
yeah.
you don't realize sort of how wise Frenchie can be and how he's like the sensitive one.
Yeah.
So no, I also very fucked up, but
Well, yeah, but
I mean, the interesting thing about the show for such a large ensemble cast is actually that was such a hard question to answer because they are all great characters. Like every single, there's none of them that I'm like, oh no, so and so's on screen. Now I'm going to be bored. Like not a single one. They are all really good.
I know. Even like Stormfront was interesting, horrible, but interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
super
absolutely.
interesting. Aya Cash was like, she killed it in that role. Like they've cast really, really talented actors. And I didn't know any of them except Carl Urban a little bit, but I really didn't know any of the actors. So they were all new to me. And that was kind of interesting too, because you could really see them as just the characters that they were playing, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, you don't have that usually.
Yeah, no, you don't. Especially not with such a gigantic cast. I mean, every time they bring someone on, I mean, obviously Jensen Ackles is joining. I do kind of know who he is.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to just send me your, sort of bio things, and I will add them to the bottom of this chat, and then people can follow you on Instagram or wherever, and then when the book is available, or if they are interested in talking to you further about the book or the boys, they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, there'll be more news about the book coming up soon. Now that The Boys is starting to film season 3, we're going to start really ramping up, and the press will be starting up again soon. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Pleasure to meet you, Matt. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Good luck with the book. I'm excited to read it, and hopefully I can get a chapter in. A
Yeah,
very small
absolutely.
chapter, but a chapter.
Yeah, get writing.
Anyway, thank you both. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Take care.